Hello, my name is Preston, and I'm with Pointit, and we are excited to be talking about the webinar today, new Facebook features and how businesses can benefit. But before we get started, a little bit of housekeeping. This webinar will be recorded. We will also send out a version of the deck after we've finished here, so if you're only able to attend for part of the presentation, never fear, we'll have that out to you by the end of the week. We also encourage you to ask questions throughout the presentation because there'll be a Q&A session at the end. Now let's talk a little bit about Pointit. So we were launched in April of 2002. We're Seattle's largest independent search marketing firm, leading with products like paid search management and SEO. Last year we managed $30 million in media budgets, and we service clients across all verticals and revenue models. So now it's my pleasure to introduce Dave Kuhl, who will be taking us through some of the new changes in timeline and how it can affect marketing.
Hi everyone, thanks again Preston. Again, my name is Dave Kuhl and I'm a Senior Client Manager here at Pointit. And as you can see, pretty much everything has changed on Facebook. The functionality basically stays the same, but the way that it's presented changes quite a bit. As you can see, the first thing that you're going to notice up at the very top here is that now you see this big, beautiful, engaging cover photo is what it's called. And basically, this is a great way for you to emphasize either your brand or the stuff that's going on. And just like everything else, either online or offline, it is what you make of it. As you can see, Red Bull and Nike have done a great job of incorporating their cover photo with the rest of what's on their page. So for instance, here, Red Bull, which is a company that I really do admire, not only for the kind of stuff that they're sponsoring with their athletes, but also with the stuff that they're doing online, has incorporated their cover photo and made it relevant to one of the posts down here congratulating Lindsey Vonn for a world record number of points within a year. Also, take note of this little tab here. We will be talking about that a little bit later. So the next thing down is this little box here, which is just a place where you can put your logo. And when you scroll down, this logo box will actually stay in the same place, but the cover photo will go up and off the page. Next, right here under the company name is the number of likes, how many people are talking about you. You've got the like button right here underneath the cover photo, which I think is a great place to put it. Hopefully, it'll be interesting to see if that leads to more likes because it is right there at the top. Next, we have a new button called Message, and I'll get into that a little bit later, but it's just a new way for people to interact with you and your brand. Next, we come down here to the app bar, and this is really just a place where you can say basically a tweet length of what your company stands for, either your mission statement or anything else that you feel is important. And then you've got all of your apps and your pages here. And if you have additional apps, those go, it will drop down, and I'll go into that in just a second. Then you go down here, you've got your regular posts. Over here you have any friends who also like this brand that you have in common. Those will show up here. And below here you would have a box. If my friends had commented on either of these brands, you would have those kind of posts to make it even more engaging and relevant to you as the viewer or the visitor. And then something that neither of these brands have opted into, but another option for you guys is that you can have a box where all of the posts or mentions that you have would be scrolling. This is really cool, especially if you are such a big brand. You can have like just tons and tons of posts streaming all the time, but neither of these brands have opted into it. You can, one, turn it off like these guys have, or you can allow only some of the posts to be allowed. And basically, you have the choice of saying, okay, I want this post or I don't want this post. If I were in charge, I would think long and hard before I opted into this this setting, just because I don't think a lot of Facebook fans would look too kindly upon you if they knew that you were censoring either negative posts or just any posts at all, for that matter. So with that, let's take a closer look at the cover photo. So the cover photo, again, is the big picture at the very top. It is an 850 by 315 banner. And before you start drooling, thinking about all the cool stuff that you're going to do with this, let me temper that by saying that this is not really meant to be a selling point. It's not going to be a billboard in the sense that you're going to be able to sell from it. Facebook has already thought about this, and they don't want it to be a place where you can basically sell from. They want it to be more of an engagement piece. So here are all the things that you can't do with this space. You can't put any price or purchase info. You can't put any kind of contact info or calls to action. For instance, buy now, save. You can't even use like or share messaging here. So again, this is really to either emphasize stuff that you're doing or be a branding piece. Next, let's talk about the timeline, the new timeline apps. So first off, moving from left to right, we've got the 150 characters talking just about your brand. Not really too much there. You guys can use that freely as long as it fits. Next, we've got the photo app, which is a native app in Facebook, meaning that you don't need to spend any kind of development resources creating something. It's there for everybody to use. Not much has changed here. The only difference is now that you have a photo here, and this is going to be the last photo that you upload. So let's say that, again, it is what you make of it. So if you've got your cover photo and then you've got this photo here in your photo app, and then you've got another post down below that all have the same picture, that really makes it one nice seamless flow throughout the entire view that people can see, which I think is going to be really important, just making it a nicer atmosphere and a nicer place to stay for visitors. So again, if you do have, if you do upload pictures after that one post and you still want that picture to be there, you just need to re-upload it again. Next, we've got a map, and you'll notice that Red Bull doesn't have a map app, and that's because it's not a place. You can't check into it. Only places or companies that have that ability will have the app. And again, if you click on it, you will be able to see all the locations that are around you. Next, we've got the all of the other apps. Basically, you can make these custom pictures, so Red Bull TV, athletes, games and apps, and then the Nike Plus support. Those are all custom apps that those companies have made. Basically, you can just customize those. Any other apps are going to show up in this little drop down right here, and we'll get into that next. And then the last app that I want to talk about is this, the Likes app, and we'll talk about that as well on the next slide. And that app actually has some cool functionality tied to it now. So, best practices, as I mentioned before, you click on this button here, the app drop down. You can see that Red Bull has already put their Likes app down here, which I think is going to be a real best practice because all of these other apps are going to be way more engaging and way more important for users to find and use than just this, than just the likes. As I showed you before, the likes do show up on the top of the page right underneath the cover photo anyway, so this is kind of superfluous, but it does come with some new functionality. So for instance, if you click on that app, it brings up this new little box which shows you statistics on users, not only how many people are liking you, but also how many people are talking about you. So you can see, and I would use this just as a kind of directional competitive analysis tool. For instance, let's say right here, the number of people talking about Red Bull was kind of dipping down, and then they did something right around here, and then it went back up again for a little while, and then it started going down again. So you can see, or I would use this, again, as a directional tool. There's no real numbers attached to it, so you can't get super specific, but again, it just gives you an idea about what your competitors are doing and maybe any kind of lift that they got from an event, and then maybe you could do something similar to that. So apps in general, not much is really changing. The only difference is now it's going to be in an 810 pixel wide format. All of your other apps that you've got right now are in a 520, so it does give you a lot more room to play with. I think it's going to make the apps more engaging. Here is an example of just the Nike Plus support page as it was now. And I don't have an apples-to-apples comparison, but you can see that the new terms and conditions page for Red Bull is just that much wider. So I think this will make apps more engaging and just more enjoyable to use. Again, this doesn't change the way that your apps currently function. It just gives you the opportunity to update them when you create new ones, or you can update your current ones. So next, one of the new features that Facebook has rolled out is the new message button. This is a pretty cool new way for businesses to interact with either customers or their fans. You do not have to be a fan to message. This option is available just if you search for the page and then you click on the button. I think that this will be a really great way for brands to interact with their customers. So for example, let's say that I'm flying tomorrow and I've lost my confirmation for some reason, and I message them on Facebook and I say, hey, I lost this, I need to find it again, can you help me out? And they say, yeah, sure, just hit the message button and we'll get all of your contact information and we'll help you right out. Obviously you don't want to post that just live on Facebook, so this is a great way to engage people but keep them on Facebook in a medium where they're comfortable. So now, before I hand it over to Ian to talk about the actual advertising, Facebook has given you a couple of different ways to actually kind of emphasize the stuff that you're doing, and that is by highlighting posts. So you can see the difference here is that this post here, which is a new video for their mission to the edge of space, which is basically this guy is going to jump out of a plane basically at the edge of space and then parachute back down, which is a good thing that Red Bull gives you wings, because he'll probably need them. But you can see that this post here is twice as wide as these others. It's also a lot deeper, therefore getting a lot more attention. So again, a great way for you to get more attention to those posts that you think are important, whether it's a product launch or just an event like this. Next thing is pinning. You can pin a post to the top of your timeline that will stay there for 7 days. Remember that little bookmark that I mentioned at the beginning? That is how it's designated. You pin the post, you get the bookmark, it stays there for 7 days, and then it goes back down into the regular flow of your timeline. Again, a great way to promote either events, product launches, or we've actually promoted this on our Facebook page as well, this webinar on our Facebook page. And last but not least, we've got milestones. And I think that this is just an awesome, awesome way to use Facebook, especially the new timeline feature. When Red Bull launched their new format, or started using the new format, what they did was they actually created a scavenger hunt all throughout their timeline. So they went back and they put in when they were founded, what their first ad was, and also their first milestone, which you can see here, that little flag calls out that it's their first milestone, their first Red Bull Mini. I think that this is going to be, again, just an awesome place for brands to go back and feature all of the cool stuff that they've done in the past, how they've evolved as a brand. So think about car companies like BMW. You can go back and say, like, okay, here's where, you know, we started making airplane engines, and then here's our first motorcycle, and here's our first car, and here's how all of our car lines have evolved over time. I think that that is going to just be really cool and a really great way to engage fans. So that is just a really quick overview of the changes that we've seen not related to advertising, and I'll hand it over to Ian, and he'll get you up to speed on all of the advertising stuff.
Thank you very much, Dave. A lot of cool stuff going on with Timeline. Personally, I like the look. I think it's going to offer kind of a unique experience for brands to kind of highlight themselves, highlight certain offers within, you know, not necessarily within the new big image, but within their posts, just to try and engage customers in a new way. But I was thinking, as you were talking about the messaging feature, how many people are just going to start using that as a customer support tool? I know that I just kind of thinking of that. I'm going to just start messaging companies directly through Facebook and no longer have to go through like a chat or a customer service on their main website. I can just message them all right through Facebook. So let's get into Facebook ads, and there's been a lot of updates here as well that we'll go into detail around. This isn't necessarily meant to be a how-to discussion around how to set up ads, but more an overview of some of the announcements they've made, some tips and tricks that we've learned that personally I feel are really helpful. And these can apply to small businesses, large businesses alike. So. But first and foremost, already confused yet. I had to throw this in there because while Facebook is great at some things, they're really bad at communicating to marketers about available options, available tools. They rarely make public announcements. End of February, they had their first annual marketing conference, which was personally for me, a big step forward to spend some time listening to them around their announcements, but they're notoriously poor at communicating with agencies, with brands in terms of advertising support. But before we get started, I do want to get a sense of where folks are at in terms of their planned marketing budget for 2012. So I'm just going to run a quick poll here, and if you could go ahead and whether, it doesn't have to be exact, just go ahead and quickly mark what you think your advertising budget is going to be for 2012. It'll kind of help us determine where to focus additional efforts on as we go through the slides. So numbers are kind of coming through. I'll let this run for just another second or two and share the results. So let's see. So it looks like, most, as expected, most people are coming through in the 0 to 2,500 range. Let's see. It looks like most people are coming through. So, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and close that. Yeah, as we expected, most coming in the 0 to 25, some in the 20,000 plus, very few in the 10 to 20,000 range. So it's always interesting to see where folks are at. So let's just jump right into it. So what is new on Facebook ads? And like I said, end of February they made a lot of announcements around various options. So we're going to cover all these in more detail. Right-hand side, you're asking what's new there. I've always seen the ads on the right-hand side. The formats are new. So, well, some of the formats are new. Some of the ways to engage with ads are new on the right-hand side. Newsfeed on your wall, so ads in your newsfeed. Ads on mobile, so we'll go into this in more detail later on as well. A huge announcement there. Ads on your mobile device. Logout ads. When you log out of Facebook, which a few million people do every single day, you will see an ad, pretty much a single full-page ad from major brands. Offers. This isn't technically an ad. This is more a post that will be available to businesses to offer promotions, discounts, where a user can print out a coupon code or redeem a coupon on a mobile device. So again, this isn't you don't pay for this. This is free, and we'll talk a little bit more about this in a few slides. Unfortunately, we have yet to see a true real-life example of it. So we've asked around within folks in the industry, and we have yet to see it. So if you have, we'd love to hear about it. Power Editor, not new again, but there's been some pretty significant updates to Power Editor, and we'll discuss that in a bit more detail. Landing pages, how we deal with landing pages with Timeline. So, but before we jump into everything, what's the reaction? So obviously there's always going to be the naysayers, and there's definitely some folks that are not very happy with Facebook Premium in particular, which we'll talk about here shortly. So there are some folks out there who feel that this is just the wrong direction that Facebook is taking to pretty much plaster ads everywhere in your Facebook experience. But only time will tell. So what is Facebook Premium? This was the major announcement at their first annual marketing conference, was really focused on Facebook Premium. And so what is actually new here? Mobile. Big news, and nearly half of Facebook users access Facebook on their mobile device, so it only makes sense that they're going to somehow show ads on your mobile device. These will show up in the feed and take the form of some type of sponsored story, sponsored post. Logout ads. Apparently 37 million people log out of Facebook every day, and why not try and take advantage of it? So the other day I just logged out, and Ford Mustang ad popped up. So they pretty much own the page, and you can interact with the page, you can watch a video. Yeah, so it's another way for Facebook to grab a percentage of the people that are leaving their site. Right-hand side. So the difference here is more ways to interact with ads themselves. So you'll still have, right now you can still like an ad that appears in the right-hand side, but these will have the ability to write comments, the ability to play a video, etc. So they're basically kind of an enhanced ad on the right-hand side. And again, offers free technically, but I don't have an example to show you. As soon as we find one, we'll post that on our Facebook page. Probably also throw it on Twitter. But if anyone has an example in the meantime or has seen one, we'd love to see it. So who's actually going to see these? Because the reality is, if everyone saw all these new ad enhancements, if everyone saw these, I mean, we really would be buried in ads. And so the right-hand side ads will be available pretty much to anyone, whether you like a page or not. So that is not going to be the case with the news feed, the ads that show up within your news feed. These will really only show up for pages that you've liked or for pages that your friends have liked. So I guess when you do the math, and if you have, what's the average user, have 180 friends, there's a lot of brand likes, brand page likes out there, so it's inevitable at some point in time you will see an ad here, but they're not just going to show up for everyone. You do need to like the brand page, or your friend needs to like a brand page. Mobile is going to be the same way. So again, ads should only appear if you've liked a brand page or your friends. And again, 50% of users access Facebook via their mobile device. So it's only, unfortunately, natural that Facebook looks at how to monetize mobile. And it'll be really interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this is going to evolve, because the reality is there's just not a lot of space on a mobile device, and it'll be interesting to see what happens with this piece of their platform. Logout ads, again, anyone can see these. I was initially under the impression that these were also tied to pages that you had liked, but that example of the Ford Mustang, I don't like that page. It's a cool car. I don't like, well, personally, I guess I do like Ford, but, well, different topic. Anyone can see those ads. And again, 37 million users log out every day from Facebook, so why not try and take advantage of it? A few more details, though. Facebook Premium is only $25K per month. So the good news is that's down from $30K. The bad news is that's for I don't know, maybe the majority of companies out there, it's a pretty significant investment, especially when you start to ask yourself what your goals are, what the impact is. I mean, like anything on Facebook, well, yeah, like with any type of Facebook advertising campaign, there's a lot of testing that goes on, but first and foremost, Facebook Premium does require a minimum investment. Things to consider. Content is the ad. So unlike the marketplace that we will talk about shortly, the self-serve platform, here the ad units themselves tend to be around posts and stories, videos, engaging content, rather than going in and from scratch creating a headline, creating a body text, uploading an image. I mean, technically you still do that when you're writing a post, but the ad units themselves for Facebook Premium will be based around posts and stories. So with that in mind, some just simple strategies is to write those posts with engagement in mind. Ask questions, post events, crazy photos, or crazy stories, things that have the potential to go viral. You want to really try and promote posts that it will engage the users. So this could be good for product launches, movies, big sales events where you want big reach, maybe some additional engagement to help drive the success of that campaign. So what about Marketplace? So this is the self-serve platform that I would say for those of you who have experimented all with Facebook ads, this is what you are accessing. Let me back up. Facebook Premium is managed with a dedicated Facebook rep. So there's no self-serve platform for that. You work with Facebook directly, and you have that $25K minimum. Marketplace, on the other hand, is self-serve. There is a minimum $5, I believe. At least that's what it was, a few years ago when we started doing this. But again, once you spend that initial investment, you can spend as little or as much as you want. Again, we're not going to walk through everything about creating ads in Marketplace, but we will just kind of cover some of the basics real quickly, just to give you a sense of what some of the options are, availability, etc., and some recommendations that we have. General structure, campaigns and ads. So there are no ad groups. If you're familiar with AdWords, Ad Center, you have campaigns, ad groups, and keywords and ads. Here you have just campaigns and ads, no ad groups. So what that means is you really have to segment your campaigns, and that can be around seasonality, goals, demographics, targeting, etc. But it's just really important to make sure your overall campaign structure is easily manageable and also easy to report on. But there's another kind of reason that we recommend really breaking down campaigns into these different segments. And that revolves around how many ads you have per campaign. Typically recommend around 3 to 5. And there's a few reasons for that, but they all in some shape or form relate to ad fatigue. And so what ad fatigue is, you launch an ad and you have a big bump in CTR. Great, fantastic. Oh, a quick note on CTR. If you have not run any ads on Facebook, your CTR is going to be really low. And, so this is I would actually put the performance of this ad towards the high end of the list in terms of CTR. 0.2 CTR is really good. A 0.1 CTR in Facebook, 0.1%, is about average. You'll often see 0.06%, 0.07%, but there's a reason for that. It's more a brand awareness. It's kind of a, if you want to compare it to anything, compare it to display on Google Network or any of the other display networks. But going back to ad fatigue, basically what happens here is a user sees an ad once or twice, they click on it, but very quickly they get tired of seeing those ads and the CTR just begins to really plummet. This can happen within a few days. This can happen within a week. Typically, an ad will not last longer than a week. I say typically because sponsored stories, which I'll discuss briefly here shortly, can maintain a pretty good average CTR for weeks on end. But what happens as CTR plummets, that brings down the kind of quality score of your campaign in Facebook. Facebook, their system begins to recognize that, and the quality score of the campaign begins to suffer. And so that's why we typically recommend around 3 to 5 ads per campaign, is so that you're maintaining a highest level kind of quality score per campaign as possible. And so running 3 to 5 ads per campaign will do that. What unfortunately that means is a lot of testing. And that is, it's one of the challenges of managing advertising on Facebook. If you don't have time, then you're probably going to be in trouble because there's a lot of hands-on. Quick tip here on, you want to compare ad performance. Say you want to run an A/B test of a certain type of A/B test for ads. You can't really do that if you're within the same campaign, because unlike AdWords, where you have an option for running ads evenly, Facebook doesn't do that. Basically, they'll pick most often the best performer, that one with the highest CTR. But if you do want to run an A/B test for ad copy, create 2 identical campaigns and put 1 ad in each of those that are slightly different, where if you're testing a different headline, a different image, and you'll get a much better, more evenly split test. A few updates on body text. So this has always been 135 characters. It was supposed to change, I believe, back in February to 90 characters, but I'm still seeing ads with 135 characters, so I don't know if it's been implemented across the board. The reason for this, for reducing the number of characters, well, one, I think 135 characters in a paragraph is a little too much, but also reducing it to 90 characters allows Facebook to now add a 4th ad on the right-hand side, whereas before there was 3, now there's 4. Lucky us. Images. Just quick update, 110 by 80 pixels. Best practices, face shots, contrast, and color. You don't have a lot of time to draw the attention of people, as they're reading their wall. So make every effort for your ad, for your image to stand out. Creative headlines. While this Mud Sweat Beer one doesn't necessarily have a lot of contrast per se, the face shot grabs your attention, the headline grabs your attention. And then the example about simple sites, big profits, overall image. First of all, it doesn't take advantage of the full 110 by 80 pixels, but also the image just doesn't really stand out. It's light. Just what is it, right? I mean, unless you're really closely looking at it. So let's take a quick look at some of the updates to ad types, whether or not actually there have been any updates. Sponsored stories. This is if you are unsure about where to start in Facebook, depending on what your goals are, I highly recommend running a sponsored story. It's extremely simple, and especially if one of your goals is to get likes, then this is probably going to be the most efficient way to do it at low CPCs with relatively high success. Basically, all a sponsored story ad is, you have very little say over, well, you have no say over the headline, the body. All this is doing is creating a little ad unit out of your page, and it's sharing it with the friends, basically the friends of your fans. And so it's a way to bring in the social context of the ad. You still have the ability for all the other targeting options like geo, geographic, interest, etc. But the ad unit in and of itself is built for you, pulls in your logo, and it's simply just to encourage likes, but it's very good at doing that. So Facebook ads, add from a post, from a page post. A lot of people miss this option within the self-serve platform, but basically what it does is it allows you to turn a post into an ad. So what's the benefit of this? Why bother? I mean, as anyone knows, the stream on your Facebook wall changes constantly. So if a brand posts, something that they feel is really important, is worthwhile sharing, the likelihood of that post staying on the wall for any extended amount of time is, I mean, it's very short. And so this is an opportunity to turn a post into an ad. It goes on the right-hand side, but it allows you to increase awareness, sort of increase the chance for additional engagement with your brand. And you can pick any post that you've ever, I believe it goes back pretty much on any post. It might only go back about 15 or 20 of the most recent posts, but you can pick whatever post you want to promote, and it'll create an ad unit for that. And as you can see, it has little pieces of engagement to like it. If there were comments, you can see those, click on it, and you can click on the share button as well. So it can be a really powerful ad unit, especially if you're promoting, say you're promoting a product. You just want to try and maintain a presence for as long as possible on a specific post. So new ad messages. So one of the things that Dave talked about briefly was with the launch of Timeline, all those pages, all those businesses have spent many hours with their creative agency trying to come up with these really cool welcome tabs where you could, by default, send non-fans to these really cool welcome tabs to encourage people to like. Well, with Timeline, that's gone. But you can still send people to those pages via an ad. And so we'll kind of discuss some landing page best practices here shortly. But if you create a new ad message, you want to send someone back to your brand page, you have the ability to send them basically to any of those kind of custom app pages that you want. And so that's, that option's there. Facebook's basically now just making you pay for it. Once again, thank you, Facebook. But you can take advantage of that to your liking. So another quick tip here. Precise interests. So one of the biggest benefits of advertising on Facebook, obviously, are targeting people based on the interests that they have in their profile. There's far more to go into in terms of setting up ads. We're just going to touch on this super briefly. If say you have a keyword list from AdWords that you want to see if you can kind of target a similar audience profile on Facebook, you can basically copy that keyword list and paste it into this little drop-down add a list here, and Facebook will do its best to match up those keywords with specific interests. So a lot of them will be there, a lot of them won't. But it's kind of a really quick way to grab a big keyword list, paste it in here, see what comes up in terms of interest, and target your ads that way. So what is new in Power Editor? For those who aren't familiar, Power Editor is a Chrome plugin that is a kind of a mass editor that allows you to easily add, edit campaigns, interest, targeting, ads, etc. It's only really available upon request. So you will have to reach out to a Facebook rep in order to get access to the Power Editor. But as soon as you have it, you'll realize how powerful it is. Just be careful. In the past, there's been issues when you download any changes directly into Facebook and you upload changes from Facebook into the Power Editor. There are some syncing issues, so just something to be aware of. But the biggest benefit, and this is huge. I mean, this is Facebook's making progress in terms of targeting. And one of the biggest updates that's only available in Power Editor, we're all patiently waiting for this to be available in just right within the platform as well, is the ability to combine broad categories with specific interests and topic targeting. Before, it was basically or. You could target, say, travel or people with specific interests. Now within Power Editor, you can combine broad categories and specific interests. I mean, this is huge. So we've been running this, and for campaigns, we've seen CTR pretty much immediately double with by combining these two different types of targeting. It's going to definitely reduce the number of impressions, but the reality is I'll make that trade-off any day to have a much more engaged, much better highly targeted audience versus getting 10 million impressions and a click-through rate of 0.01. This is a big update. So in this case, I just threw in some photography, sales of travel. I am a photographer, but if I was running photography tours, I could target, say, these different topics. That's what the hashtag is there. So the hashtag in front of an interest indicates that it's a topic and not a precise interest. But I can combine those with, say, everyone interested in traveling. And I have a much more targeted audience to take advantage of. So again, Power Editor, definitely very helpful, especially if you're managing lots of campaigns. I mean, even if you're managing a small amount of campaigns and ads, it just makes the whole process way easier. The Facebook advertising UI is just an awful headache. So that definitely helps. Another new ad unit that's coming is RSVPing for events. And so in the past, you had the option basically just to, you could put up an ad and people could choose whether to attend, not to attend, or maybe. They're basically removing all that and simplifying it to join, but more importantly, they're adding the ability to invite friends. So as soon as you join, you can then share it with your friends. So this has not been updated in the UI yet. We're waiting. Again, this was just recently announced. But for those who have events, who host events locally, this, it's a great way to drive some awareness, get some people to sign up for your event, but more importantly, to share that event with their friends. So landing pages. What's the big deal with landing pages? So as we've mentioned a few times now, with the launch of Timeline, Facebook pretty much removed the ability for everyone to create these really cool welcome pages. And so now, the only way to send people to these pages is via ads. And again, I kind of discussed this briefly already. When you're creating a new ad message, you have the option to send people wherever you want. Just a few quick notes. Timeline replaces wall in this drop-down list here. There's a bunch of admin-only options here that you can ignore as well. Resume, some of the messages. but all the other targeting exists. And so really the big thing now is you still have the ability to send people to specific landing pages. A lot of people were all freaked out about how are we going to do this, all this time and effort that we spend on these custom pages, is it wasted time? Well, not really, if you want to pay a little money to send people to them. And I should say those custom tabs, and I'll show you an example here briefly, are still available where you want to try and encourage likes of a page, but they're a little harder to get to. Dave already discussed this, new app page dimensions, so 810 pixel wide. The location of the like button has changed. So say you do want to try and encourage people to like your page. You still have that option. You just have to rethink about where that like button is now. And it's always a great example. Red Bull, they're typically on some of the first to launch, take advantage of these updates. Here's the old welcome tab, and here's the new one. So they've basically just switched it around, and now they're, the like button's up on the right-hand side. If they wanted to, they could send people via ads to this page. This page is accessible via some of their other app pages that might require a like as well. But that just kind of shows you at a very basic level some of the changes that will need to be made if you still want to try and push people to like your page by sending them to a custom welcome page. So a tip, not many people know about this. I still find it a little hard to believe. It's probably may not always be the case, but if you keep people within Facebook, you will actually be charged lower CPCs. Personally, I find it, I don't know, I mean, I feel like it's, Facebook kind of telling you what to do, which I guess is somewhat normal, but the fact that they are willing to charge you less for keeping people in Facebook, a lot of people argue, well, it's a better landing page experience. I don't know if I always necessarily agree with that, but you will be charged a lower CPC if you keep people in Facebook versus sending people outside of Facebook. We get a ton of questions about, well, what would you do? Keep people in Facebook, send people out of Facebook? It's really up to, it really depends on what the goals are, what it is that you're trying to accomplish. But rest assured you can send people out of Facebook. Keep in mind you will be charged slightly higher CPCs. You will also, in most cases, lose the social context of your ad. Quick example here, you don't have the John likes this or Ian likes this. So when you send people out of Facebook, you lose that piece. But there's a quick trick behind getting that back here. The benefit of sending people off Facebook is obviously you get to control the user experience with a dedicated landing page. So just like PPC, AdWords, Ad Center, you can create basically the flow from ad to landing page exactly how you want it. So that's the biggest benefit. My recommendation would be, if you are doing this, to create a landing page that incorporates Facebook, imaging, whatever, as much as possible. So this page has a like, the like button on it. Overall, I'm not going to say anything, critique this landing page at all, but my recommendation would, if you're sending people off of Facebook, try and incorporate the like buttons or any other type of Facebook interaction as much as you can, so that user experience isn't as disrupted, isn't as disrupted as it needs to be. But there's more, and there is a secret to getting external ads to show the social context, and that's within Use Suggest an Ad. So I just typed in a URL as an example, and you type in a URL, you click Suggest an Ad, and you will have an option to show stories of people interacting with this page. Now, this is only if you have a brand page on Facebook. Obviously, if you don't, this option is not going to exist, but it gives you the ability on an ad going to an external URL to include the social piece. This is huge. This is, now you kind of get the benefit of an ad being social, and you get the benefit of creating your own landing page. So well worth trying. You can basically customize this as much as you want. You can customize the ad copy, headline, etc., the image. So just a few final thoughts on ads. Facebook Premium, again, big budgets, you have bigger budgets, you'll get bigger reach. It's just a question that you have to ask internally. Power Editor, ask your rep for access. If you don't have a rep, let us know. Landing pages, great opportunity to basically lead a visitor through, create a flow for that user that you so desire. Sponsored stories, one of the best ways to acquire fans cheaply. Ad from page post, create an ad out of one of your page posts to help increase engagement. Suggest an ad is a quick way to include that social context with external ads. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and open it up for Q&A. For folks who have questions here, let's see. So there's a question about the difference between the current marketplace ad and the right-hand side premium ads. Again, more of that has to do with the overall engagement level within the ad itself. So there's the ability to embed videos, the ability to add comments directly within an ad. And you can also actually play with polling a little bit more. There's just more options to create some engagement. Question around Power Editor. So there is, how do you get it? And it's a question that we get very often. The best way, obviously, is to reach out to a rep. If you don't have a rep, we can post a phone. Basically, there's an email that you can reach out to a marketing team at Facebook. We cannot guarantee that you'll get a response. They're notoriously bad at responding to requests unless you're spending a lot of money. We really hope that changes for everyone's sake, especially if they want to increase advertising and the use of advertising. Someone had a question around, let's see, I have no social media budget. With that in mind, where would you focus your efforts to build a social media presence and brand awareness? Very good question. So, Dave, do you want to try and tackle that one?
Yeah. For those of you who don't have a budget, I think that being as creative as possible with how you're using Facebook and the new format will probably be your best bet. Again, there's tons and tons of ways of using that format creatively. Going back to the example with Red Bull, they put a scavenger hunt all throughout their timelines to get people to really use and explore that format right off the bat. You can also use the new cover photo. You can use all the new different ways of highlighting your posts. And of course, encourage as much engagement as possible with the new messaging system.
Yeah, and there's also, there's a lot of free paid kind of custom app builders out there too that I'd recommend doing a search on. We can put together a list as well that will help you kind of create these custom tabs that you can sort of play with as well, that are free. Granted, there's going to be some limitations because they're free. So we'll take a look at all the questions. If we have not gotten to your question, we'll answer them and get back to you. But for now, we're going to call it good, and we just want to say thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. The presentation will be online and available in a few days, and we'll make sure to post to let everyone know about that. Thank you very much.